Hey, Mr. Pond Boss, tell me what to do.
Time to go.
To make
Wednesday.
all my Lunker Lake dreams come
There you go.
true.
Hello everybody, Bob Lusk coming at you live from the safe confines of North Texas, Pond Boss World Headquarters here in Gordonville, America. Hope you guys can join me for some lively talk about ponds and lakes on this beautiful summer day here in March. There's Jenny McCrae. Hey Jenny, how you doing? Tim Stewart, I don't know where Tim is. You never know if he's in Brazil, California, New England, or Florida. So I'm sure he's bouncing around somewhere. If he ain't hauling bees, he's getting ready to. Ron Ardoin. Woo! Hey, help me out here, man. Michael Gray checking in. Jacob West, you're early, dude. Good to see you, boys. You guys throw some questions at me. I've been kind of thinking about a topic. I've got one. And you know the drill. Michael Gray's already done it. Click like. Put hashtag Pond Boss Magazine in the comment section. And share this video to your timeline so we can build an audience. That'd be cool. There's Danny Mack checking in. Tim's in California getting ready to haul honeybees to the blueberry and cranberry bogs up in New England, Maine, I bet Vermont, New Hampshire, somewhere through there. You know? And he'll probably vote along the way. No, wait. Bernie's already been elected. No, wait, he hasn't. Jacob West, you got it. Hey, you know what? The brand new Pond Boss Magazine just came in the door. Kelly Duffy, good to see you, brother. I want to talk to you. I'm going to call you on the phone here in a few days. I got a couple things clicking that I think will be kind of interesting for you. But anyway, the brand new Pond Boss was just delivered. The UPS man working after hours, actually, showed up about 10 minutes ago. So we got several boxes. Here's the March-April issue of Pond Boss. We got a little daylight savings time going on. I don't know what's going on in your part of the plant, but I noticed that the redbud trees are blooming. Let's see, this issue of the magazine, Corrective Stocking Aeration Strategies. That's a cool one. There's an article here about grass carp. Otto's got a story about new pond owners that have a steep learning curve. Dr. Claude Boyd, dude. Dr. Boyd, if y'all don't know about him, he is the world's premier aquaculture water quality expert. If anybody knows anything about water quality, water chemistry, this guy knows it all. I mean, he travels to the Philippines, he goes to the Far East, the Near West, Texas. You know, he's based in Auburn, Alabama. He's an emeritus professor in water chemistry over there. And the guy's brilliant. Dr. Wes Neal from Mississippi State, he's got an article in here. We've got Backyard Nature Notes, which is Birdman Mel from Missouri talking about how to attract birds. I got a story in here, Common Carp. You know, when I first started in this business, I thought it would be smart to learn all I could about the fish we like. And then I started coming across fish that we didn't like. You know, like carp, buffalo, gar. There was a time I didn't even like green sunfish. I'm a little more tolerant of green sunfish nowadays. So let me see here. I'm going to see if I can find this video on my laptop so I can see what everybody's saying. John Funk from mid-Michigan. You ought to have a, how about a few things for us northern people as spring will soon begin? Wash your hands a lot. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. What about this coronavirus deal, guys? Holy cow. People are spooked over that. Tens of thousands of people dying from the flu. And I'm not going to be the one cynic or skeptic. Not going to do it. I do think it's important that we pay attention to what's going on here. All right, I'm wearing a blue shirt, so I'm looking at all these videos, and I'll be dadgum if I can't find myself today. So I'm looking. So in the meantime, while I'm trying to find this video so I can read everybody's comments, got to go lay out a brand new pond today for a guy. A retired firefighter from the Arlington Fire Department lives over here in Pottsboro, Texas, near Lake Texoma. He wants to build about, say, between a quarter and half acre pond. He's never done that exercise, so he's need a little bit of help. Oh, there it is. There's the video. I see it. Woohoo! I got it. There it is. Now I can see everybody. Yep. Holy cow. Leanne. Hey, Leanne. I got on up. Hey. I stole one of your candy bars. World's finest chocolate fundraising candy bar. It was laying there. Hadn't had supper, ate lunch a long time ago. So what I did today, I got to go do something kind of fun. I took my laser level and went over and looked at a site for a guy and started shooting elevations to figure out where's the best place. First of all, could he build a pond? Secondly, where should the dam be? Because it's going to be a dam. He's got a swale and he's got a little pond off to the side. So there's two little bitty swales that feed into this guy's probably 5-acre lot over on the south side of Lake Texoma, west of Pottsboro. And so we, the biggest show of the year for the car wash industry was canceled because of the virus. A lot of that going on, man. Jacob, I know, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute, I think, because I think it's appropriate to talk about. But anyway, buenas noches, Mr. Pond Balls Day, North Cross, Georgia, from Mr. Harrison Davis. Good to see you, Harrison. Let's see, John Funk Magazine not here yet, but looking forward to it. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to scroll back, and in the meantime, I'm going to tell you what happened. So I set up my laser level, and I said, hey, Mr. Landowner, Doug, why don't you go, you've got some, he had some wooden stakes with flags on them. I said, why don't you drive a stake somewhere where you'd like the edge of the pond to be? So he kind of looked over there, looked over here, found him a place, and went, got a hammer, drove a stake right there. So we used that as our reference point. So I set up my laser level, and we found that elevation all the way around his property. And it was really kind of fun because when you start looking at those elevations, you can begin to see what the pond could be shaped like. Now, he's got some post oak trees, a couple of walnut trees, and some elm trees on this property, and it's pretty important to him to save those trees. So the elevation that he picked, there were two really nice post oak trees that probably sit a foot below that, which means they'd be flooded, which means they would die. So now his decision is, should I forego those two trees to build a pond that could be half an acre, or do I save those trees to build a pond that would be more like a third of an acre? And that's going to be his decision to make. Now, of course, if he builds a 1/3 acre pond, the dam will cost less money because it doesn't have to be so high, doesn't have to have as much dirt. So the cost here, that's one of the things we try to nail down. It looks like he's going to have to build the pond at the first level that he looked at. There'd be over 2,500 cubic yards of dirt to be moved to build the dam, counting a keyway or / core trench. So in other words, to build a dam that won't seep so bad, holy cow, let me tell you that story. Back in, I guess it was probably 1995, when I officially bought into Pond Boss. I'd helped Mark McDonald start Pond Boss magazine in 92, but in 95 I bought in. He didn't kill it over 3 years, so I figured it might last. So I bought in with him, and so did Mike Otto and another guy named Harold Arms. So the first thing we thought we ought to do is hold a series of seminars. So we went around Texas. We went to Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, and Fort Worth, and we called it the Pond Boss World Tour. Everybody outside of Texas is going to laugh at that. Everybody inside Texas gets it. No, all y'all get it. So anyway, one of my jobs was to talk about, speaking about pre-planning for ponds. If you're going to build a pond. Well, one of the things I said in the first couple of seminars was, you know what? You got to figure out how big the watershed is. Then you got to study the dirt. You got to pick dirt that doesn't leak. Because if you have dirt that leaks, you won't have a pond. After I said that the second time, Mike Otto, grabs me by the collar, says, Lusk, dude, don't tell people to use dirt that doesn't leak. All dirt leaks. All dirt leaks. So what I started saying after that is you got to pick dirt that leaks less. So as we're staking out the water line for this fella today, he got a lesson in to see what the elevations look like, and we figured it would take somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 cubic yards of dirt, including building a core trench down about 3 to 4 feet. Now the core trench is about digging dirt out, getting down on a good foundation, because if you're going to build a dam, you got to realize you're building a structure, not unlike building a building. So if you're going to build a structure, it's got to have a foundation that it can sit on. So the core trench is basically setting the stage to create the foundation on which to build the dam. So really what I told him today, you have two jobs. Job one is you got to build a dam. The dam's purpose is to impound water, then release excess water in an orderly fashion. So he started kind of wrapping his brain around that. Now he's already wanting to talk about which fish to stock and how many and all that. But what I told him was, job one, let's create this structure called the dam. Then behind the dam is going to be a living, breathing entity that will be your pond. And that's where we start talking about the fish, which means we've got to create the best habitat for what your goals are. Now his goals are, he just wants to have future grandkids. He's a retired firefighter, so he wants to have future grandkids, which that's pretty optimistic. I got a bunch of those. He wants kids to be able to come catch their first fish. So he's talking about bluegill, maybe a few bass, some catfish, things like that. So he's really, really jumping the gun to want to create habitat for all those fish, when job one is to create the dam, and then we look at the habitat. And the habitat's going to be based on what nature allows us, based on how the land falls, etc. So let's see here. There's Mike Cottrell. Hi, Mike. Roger B. Peterson. Christopher Aguilard. I don't know, have you met Ron Ardoin yet? Huh? Come on, you got to. You guys have got a whole lot in common. Chuck Brinkman from Missouri. Jane and Barbara Saunders. Good to see you. Let's see here. Okay, John Funk, I'm going to hit a few things about mid-Michigan. Look at there. There's Frank James checking in. Linda McNulty. Sean's mama. Good to see you. Glad you're checking in. I love your son, by the way. Sean McNulty is one of the coolest guys I've ever met. You know, not only is he passionate about what he does, Sean McNulty is one of the 3 owners of American Sportfish Hatchery based in Montgomery, Alabama. Now, those are the guys that bought out the pond management side of my business. Now, I still do lake design consulting, lake management consulting, but when it comes to the things that need to get done, like vegetation treatment, stocking fish, American Sportfish Hatchery does that. And Linda's son, Sean, is a PhD in fisheries. His dad was in fisheries, you know, and he works his butt off. He's got a wife and kids, and he works his butt off. But he's a good dad as well, you know, a good human. And I love Sean. He's stellar. So let's see here. I just wanted to say that, which I mean it. So today, after I got through working on that project, we went inside the fellow's house, sat down at his kitchen table, and we had a nice conversation about designing a pond. And, here's something really cool. He was referred to me by Larry Martin. Now, Larry Martin is a longtime Pond Boss subscriber. You're going to love this. This is a cool story. Back in 1991, when Mark McDonald was looking for something else to do, Mark McDonald was the founding editor of Pond Boss. He's been a guest on this show before. He and I had a meeting at a Whataburger. If you're from Texas, you know what a Whataburger is. In Louisville, Texas. We sat down at 10 o'clock in the morning and we wrapped up at 7 that night. We both had headaches and we'd had hamburgers twice, sat through the lunch rush, sat through the supper rush. Well, Pond Boss magazine was conceived that day. Now, when we left, we knew that we wanted to, left that meeting, we knew that we wanted to convey good information to people that own ponds. We knew we couldn't do anything to help solve world peace in the Middle East. We couldn't feed the hungry. We didn't want to write about fishing, but we knew we could help people be better stewards of their land. And that was our go-to premise and our go-to ideas when we left that meeting. So Pond Boss was born at that point. And as Mark and I talked about creating the magazine, you know, he was going to be the creative force, put the magazine together, but somebody needed to subscribe to it. Now, you've heard me say this before, but this is before Al Gore invented the internet. This was in 1991, November, December, January of 91. So what I told Mark I would do is help come up with the money to print the first issue of the magazine, and I'd try to get 100 of the first 100 subscribers. So at that point, I had a card file with 4x6-inch cards with handwritten instructions and history of all my customers. I had like 192 customers. So I told Mark I'd send a letter out to each one of those. So I printed my letters on a dot matrix printer, made each one personal, and I sent those letters asking people for a check for $24 back then, for a magazine that didn't exist. Mark said, "You're going to do that?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to do that." He said, "Why would people send you a check for $24 for a magazine that doesn't exist?" So I was just confident enough to say, because I will tell them to. Well, we got 92 checks back for $24 out of that 190 plus letters that I sent. Almost half of them sent a check. Well, one of those was Larry Martin. And Larry Martin was 40 years old then. I saw him today. He's 70. He still looks 40. Of course, I'm 65 and I feel 40. I'm almost 65 and I don't feel 40. But anyway, Larry referred his neighbor, and that's where I was today, and which was really fun and informative for this guy. Here's the moral of the story. If you're going to build a pond, if you're going to do anything, think it through before you make your choices. So this guy's got some pre-planning to do before he ever hires a contractor. You know, I think Mike Otto will probably go over there and show him and look around and do some things to kind of give him some input, but I don't know if he's going to tell him a whole lot of things different than what I've told him. So now, with that said, let me go through here and see what's going on. Jacob West, I can't believe that's yeah, I can believe it. I mean, if the NCAA is going to play basketball without an audience, then I'm going to eat a piece of this caramel candy bar that Leanne left here unattended as a fundraiser. Oh, and Larry Martin knows I like red wine, so he gave me a bottle of 14 Hands. So I'm going to have one glass of wine. I poured it a while ago just before we went on the air with this chocolate, Leanne. Just don't tell my wife that I'm drinking wine up here. All right, so now let's see here. Let me go back here a little bit. John Funk, what should you be thinking about? I'll tell you what you should be thinking about. Your fish are getting ready to spawn. That's a big deal. And you don't want gin clear, crystal clear water when the fish are spawning. I'm going to tell you some life lessons that have been really fun. When I was first getting into the business, there's a couple things I want to tell you that are they're colloquial, they're country, and they're true. When the red bud trees are blooming, the white bass are going to be running upstream reproducing. Well, that's a big deal to guys that grow hybrid striped bass like Keogh Fisheries. But what's even more important is that when the ground temperature hits the temperature where red bud trees are blooming, the spawn is about to be in progress. The other thing, Bus Hartley Fish Farms up in Kingman, Kansas in 1981. I went up there. I wanted to learn as much as I could about bass spawning, bluegill spawning. He said, I'll never forget this, and I think about this every spring, when the bullfrogs croak, bass are on the beds. Well, you know, when you're in your 20s, you think about that. What the hell has a frog got to do with bass spawning? Folks, it ain't got nothing to do with frog. It's got everything to do with the temperature. So it took me a few years to kind of make that correlation. I'm a little slow on the uptake sometimes. But when the bullfrogs come out and they start to croak and get ready to mate, they mate at the same temperature that largemouth bass are reproducing. So, you guys, keep this little mental note. When you hear your bullfrogs croaking, your bass are spawning. Now, bass spawn in waves where the temperature is between 58 and probably 78 degrees in phases of the full moon. And that's when the frogs are coming out. So keep that in mind. Now, I'm kind of, a little bit weird about that. But John Funk, northern folks, I tell you what, it's time to do your spring startup of aeration systems. If you haven't done that, go ahead and do it. Your water temperature is probably autonomous top to bottom, which means the water hasn't started to stratify yet. So Frank James, it's okay to go ahead and start up your aeration system if you haven't done that yet. Run it for 4 or 5 hours the first day, run it 4 or 5 hours the next day. Now, here's the secret, guys. If you crank up your aeration system, go downwind and see if you can get any kind of a whiff of a musty odor. If you smell that musty smell, turn it off. and set it on a timer. Or figure out how to do this. You want to start it up, like if this was the summertime, I tell you to run it 15 minutes today, 30 tomorrow, an hour the next day, 2 hours the next day. Double it every day until you're going 24/7. Right now, I think you'd be safe to run your aeration system 24/7 unless you smell something. If you smell any kind of a sulfur smell, rotten eggs, a musty smell, if your water changes color from a really pretty greenish color to black or brown, cut it off and then start it up slowly. All right, let's see here. Holy cow, we got 20 new comments that I ain't been looking at. Let's go here. Hey, you know what? The brand new Pond Boss, here it is, March, April, just showed up. Got some great articles in it. $35 a year. Hey, and if you'll do like I asked earlier, do hashtag Pond Boss Magazine, click like, share to your timeline. You'll be eligible for a drawing for a Pond Boss hat and a Pond Boss mug. Say it with me together. This Pond Boss mug, what? Knows how to keep hot things hot, and that's it. I heard Jacob West say it. Cold things cold. We don't know how it knows, but it does. So you're eligible for a drawing. So let's see here. Jim Fritchie's checking in. Leanne's chuckling at me. All right, Roger B. Peterson Jr. in Missouri told me the aeration occasionally I see big bubbles that stick around for a while. Other times it's normal sized bubbles. Any clue? Yeah, that's a great question. I love that. Way to go, Roger B. Peterson. When you turn on your aeration system and you see some big bubbles, those big bubbles are usually a residue that includes amino acids and a few natural oils that manifest themselves at the surface. So basically what you're doing is you're shoving them from the depths, which is, it's all organic matter. And when you take that stuff and push it up to the top and let it communicate with the atmosphere, it can clear itself up and cleanse itself. So that is your pond's attempt to cleanse itself, clean itself up. So that's a good thing. Frank James, not sure how appropriate this might be, but coronavirus appears to be very low risk to children, low risk to young adults, average risk to middle-aged, high risk to older folks. Yeah, you know, my oldest son turned 46 back in, I guess, October. And when his birthday came around, I called him. I said, Ty, it never dawned on me that I would have kids the same age as me. Now, although I feel like I'm 45 or 46 like he is, I know that I'm knocking on the door of 65. I do have some concern about this coronavirus scare, but I'm pulled, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and be an authority, a medical authority on viruses, but I know that I can die from the flu. And my risk of the coronavirus dying from that is probably a little higher. But I know my immune system is not compromised, at least I don't think it is. But I think that we should be prudent, although I don't think we should be scared. You know, wash your hands. Just follow all the good, safe practices. And, God, why am I even talking about this? Because everybody's talking about it. I do think we're going to have a pandemic. I'm a biologist, so I think about things like this. I do think that virus is going to run its course. Its course is going to be rapid. We're going to see it. Every one of us is going to be touched by somebody that has to deal with it. Hopefully we don't have to deal with somebody. We don't have to be involved in a situation where somebody succumbs to it. But I do think we need to be thinking about it. I hate that the stock market's been affected. I hate that our economy's been affected. I just read a little blurb just before I went on the air that the NBA is thinking about suspending their season. You know, and I don't want to be the cynic that dispels those things, but I want to be the guy that tells you just keep on point, find experts and listen to those experts. So in the meantime, I'm going to be talking about fish. Because there's nobody around here except me and 14 hands and some of Leanne's world's finest chocolate. Roger BP. Oh, wait, hold it. Let me back up a little bit. Okay, Danny Mac says, I lost your sound. Well, I'm still talking, so if you can't hear me, I don't know what to tell you. You bought another 7 pounds of golden shiners from Vance Schultze. Holy cow, I love Vance Schultze. By wearing my Palm Boss hat with an Aggie sticker on my van, he told me a story. Hey, what happens in Aggie land stays in Aggie. Well, Danny Mac is an Aggie. Danny Mac, you know what? You guys will be interested in this. I'm going to go off course just a touch, and I'll circle back to your questions. But before I do that, I want to thank Texas Hunter for sponsoring this show, Purina Mills for sponsoring this show. Feeding fish is a big deal. You can expedite growth rates. You can sustain more fish per unit of water if you feed the fish. Not many people can go out there and feed the fish at the same place at the same time every day. If you're feeding bluegills, feed Purina Aquamax MVP and use a Texas Hunter feeder. You know, the money that I was talking to a guy a couple of years ago who said he was bragging about buying $1,000 worth of fathead minnows to feed his bass. He said, would you have done that? I said, no, I would have spent $850 on a Texas Hunter feeder plus $150 on Purina feeds and grow the bait fish that you need in your pond. So feeding the fish, I think, for most folks, is a wise thing to do. Expedites growth rates. You can carry more fish. Now, there's Daniel Powell. Daniel, I was thinking about you today, wondering what was going on over there in North Carolina. I figured you might be in church, but I'm glad you came to this church. We're preaching from the Gospel of Pond Management, which that's only comes from the Book of Bob, which ain't anywhere in the Bible, although I do love what God says about things like this. You know, one of my favorite things is teach a man to catch a fish he can eat for a day. Wait. Give a man a fish he can eat for a day. Teach a man how to catch fish he can eat for a lifetime. But you teach a man how to grow fish, he can feed all of us. And that's kind of where I go with it. So, Danny Mac. Oh, okay. Let me tell you what happened. I got an email from the fisheries extension specialist down in College Station telling me that he's in an uphill battle, that there's been some new things going on in education where the Texas A&M University's Department of Fisheries, Wildlife and Fisheries has been combined with the Rain Science Department. And they were talking about doing away with the Fisheries Department. So I sent this impassioned letter that tells my story of how a high school teacher of mine took me to watch a football game in Aggieland, which influenced me to go to school. I already knew I wanted to study fisheries, but I could have gone to Stephen F. Austin. I could have gone to Southwest Texas State. I could have gone to Southern Illinois, Auburn, and I chose Texas A&M. And because of that, my son went there, my daughter went there, my grandchildren are going to go there. Don't do away with the fisheries department. So I sent a letter about that. Now I've been invited to serve on a committee that's reviewing the curriculum, and they want to hear more about the value of a fisheries program. So it's pretty cool to know that 40 years plus of this passion that I do every day might have an influence on a major university and whether or not they keep a fisheries program. So I'm going to go do that. Now, whether it works or not, beats me. I'm going to know. Roger B. Peterson in Missouri, I've seen some quarter-inch minnows. Could they have survived through winter? Roger B. Peterson Jr., I'm going to tell you that when you see quarter-inch minnows, those are probably baby bluegills that have hatched within the last 2 weeks when you've had some bluebird warm days where your water temperature went up about 5 or 6 degrees. Odds are those are bluegills. So the chance that a quarter-inch fish survive the winter is low. But what odds are is those fish are newly hatched and just now getting around where they can feed. And if they can feed on periphyton and plankton and things around the edge of your pond, as the temperature goes up, you'll see survival rates go up. But I would bet $1 to a donut or some chocolate to some Aquamax fish food. They just hatched in your pond within the last few weeks. Joyce Earl, Connie Bingman, Fred Bingman, Tammy Pisarski up checking in from Lubbock. Daniel Powell says, been a while since I've been able to watch live. Hope all is well for everyone. Warming up here in South Kakalaka this week. Water temperature's on the way up. Is it too late to add lime before spring stocking? No, it's not. If your water chemistry shows that you're under 40 parts per million calcium carbonate alkalinity, lime it. You got time. Lime it. If you do that in the next 4 weeks, you're going to be fine. So do it. There's Clark Cole. Hey, Clark, good to see you, buddy. Checking in from Weatherford. Clark, I'm kind of thinking about coming over that way. There's a couple of guys in Weatherford I want to see. I may holler at you. Danny Mack, busted 80 degrees today. Palm was 64 this morning. Well, you ought to see bluegill spawning. Harrison Davis ate at a Waffle House last night. This morning, the guys at work say a Waffle House not far from the one we ate at had an employee test positive for corona. Don't worry, I'm good. Josie, hilarious. John M. Wilson. Hi, John. Good to see you, buddy. Nothing can match Woodford. Hey, you know what? Hey, listen to this. You're going to love this. We got a package today. Fred and Connie Bingham are going to come join us for the next Bob Lusk Institute of Higher Pondology, which is April 2 through 4. By the way, we got room for 2 more folks. If you guys want to come, I promise you it's worth it. Well, Fred and Connie were going to come, but they had to cancel out because Fred tore a rotator cuff. He's got to get it repaired. So in the mail today, or at UPS today, delivered a package, and in that package was a bottle of Woodford Reserve. And I'm probably going to hoard it, although if Jacob West showed up with his dad, we might have a little sip of it when he got here. But I'm going to sit back on that. Good evening, John. Clark Cole, love your show. Sorry not to tune in live lately, but I have caught a few by replay. Your info, recent from long ago, helped me out a bit today when a friend asked me about his issues in his neighborhood pond has. Well, Clark Cole worked for me back in about 1986, 87, became a physical therapist. Now he has more gray hair than I do. His kids have grown up. He didn't even have any then. And I love Clark Cole. Hadn't seen him in a while. Let's see. Tim Stewart would like to install a circulator this spring. I think that's a good idea. I think that's a great idea. Man, I'm getting behind. I'm going to have to catch up. Cold things cold, says Ben Arnold. That's right, buddy. The drawing. Hey, $35 a year right here. You get nuggets out of each one. I'm telling you, $35. Saturday, Debbie hosted a baby shower. We got 2 more grandkids coming, so she hosted a baby shower Saturday. And at the end of the day, she wanted to go back here behind us. There's a winery right behind, great winery. Just opened a couple, 8 or 10 months ago. And she wanted to go have a glass of wine and eat an hors d'oeuvre. So we went and did that. And I promise you, I spent $60 on that. It's $35 on this. So, which is the better deal? There's Alex Short. Frank James says, every magazine has an idea that will save you far more than the subscription. You know what? You're right. Thanks. Every issue of the Pond Boss magazine that comes out, there'll be something in there that will save you more money than you spend on that subscription. And if anybody knows, Frank James knows, because Frank has, by golly, he's built a lake in East Texas. He did a lot of homework. And he, just like all of us, he makes his share of mistakes and has his share of successes. And he learns from every issue of the magazine. Jennifer Ardoin. Wait, Boudin. Ardoin. Hey, help me out. I'm getting it. Taking me a long time because I don't speak French or Cajun, but I'm getting closer. You know what? Ron says, I bet you won't cancel the Institute of Higher Pondology because I'm not going to cancel it. But we do have a guy flying in from Idaho, one flying in from Illinois, one guy flying in from North Carolina. And I am going to offer them the chance to reschedule if they want. If they're not comfortable flying, I get it. So I'm going to send them an email tomorrow and say, hey, if you guys want to sign up for the fall one and let all this it's like bad chili, it'll pass. You know, the coronavirus will pass. So if they want to, if they're more comfortable doing it later, that's cool. Jacob West, 14 Hands is a great wine, or so my wife said. Well, here it is right here. There it is. It's a pretty good wine, especially when a good friend of yours gives it to you. No, I'm not going to cancel the Institute. Leanne, checking in from Nebraska, or right around Omaha. I do get the sulfur smell when starting the aerator, so good advice. Ice is off the pond. Average outside temp is in the 40s and 50s for highs. Too cold to aerate the entire pond? We have red ears. Yes, don't do that. Don't. Hey, good. That is a fantastic practical question. Red ear sunfish don't like cold temperatures. So when you're in the low 40s and the upper 50s for highs, wait a little bit. Now what I would do there, Leanne, is I'd go ahead and crank up my aeration system, but I would only do it, 30 minutes a day, an hour tomorrow, and get it up to about 5 or 6 hours a day and leave it there until your water temperature gets on up. When the temperature gets on up into the 60s, then fire it off. Now, here's the other caveat. If you live in a part of the world where the water temperature, and you're running your aerator where the water temperature gets above about 83 degrees, don't let the water get that warm. Set your aeration system on a timer in the summer to where it runs from like 9 at night till 9 in the morning to keep the temperature from going up too high. Listen to me. Temperature is a big deal. Temperature is a huge deal. That's a big deal to fish. It's a big deal to plants. So pay attention to your temperature. Go buy a thermometer, check it. If you don't know, don't guess. Figure it out. That's a pretty cheap $4 for a thermometer, and that's $3 worth of profit in there. Hey, there's Mike DeMint checking in. I got to talk to Mike earlier in the week or over the weekend. He's coming over here from Memphis, Tennessee. Excited that Mike's going to join us. Dion Myers, good to see you. Holy cow, I'm way behind. Let me catch up. Let's see what's going on here. Let me scroll down. Let's see here. Ice fisherman got an 11-inch bluegill this winter out of our pond. Thanks for your game fish chow. Hey, you know what? Leanne, if you'll switch from game fish chow to MVP, the feed costs twice as much, but it's 3 times better. Do the math on that. That's pretty dead cool. Good deal. Let's see here. Danny Mack, lost my bud on Sempra, whose new antibiotic that successfully and safely fought drug-resistant pneumonia in us old folks. FDA's England advisor recommended against. Now I think that England advisor has the coronavirus. I'm going to have to let that soak in. Frank says, fish question, I'm thinking of building a little peninsula in the lake. Didn't do it originally due to fear of poachers, but have had no problems with them. Would you recommend building it in deeper water or in the shallows? I'm going to recommend doing it where you have to move the least amount of dirt. So, it depends on how you're going to do it. If you're going to lower the lake to move dirt, do it in the shallows to create deeper water. If you're going to do it with dirt in it, calculate the volume of dirt you need to move, then pick your depth. Because you can go broke hauling dump truckloads worth of dirt just to build a peninsula that doesn't do a lot for you. All right, let's see here. Near a feeder, well, you can move the feeder. The feeder can go where you want it. Near a place that's already a hot spot, or try to make a new hot spot. If you're going to build a peninsula, do it for a reason other than to create areas to fish. Do it because you need some deeper water somewhere. And the smartest way to build a peninsula in a lake that already has water in it is to bring in a track hoe around shallow water and scoop the dirt, build the peninsula, and let the track hoe walk out on the peninsula as they build it. If you're going to do it that way. There's Dick Tabbert. Good to see you, Dick. Let's see here. Daniel Powell, glad to be with you. Had to work late, so I thought the Church of Pond Management. All right, Daniel Powell, that's good. Danny Mack, you chose well. It's sad when Aggie's progeny choose TU. How come you capitalized TU, dude? You been drinking? I'm just teasing. Well, I'm kind of, yeah, I am. Oh boy, here we go. I'm gonna leave that right where it is. Please holler, Clark. I will. Hey, Clark, text me your phone number. My phone number, hey, write this down, kids. 903-814-7634. Bob Lusk, the Pond Boss, put his phone number out on the internet. Oh well, call me. Matt Rail, good to see Matt. Matt's in Indiana, a very dear friend of ours. Dion Myers, knowledge is power. Scott Angelico, when is the next Pond Boss magazine? The next Pond Boss magazine is the March-April issue, and it is in the mail stream right now. Oh man, I'm behind. Danny Mack, okay, underwater plants. Mossbacks, got it. Matt Marsden checking in. Matt's American Fish Tree. Tim Stewart should be having his second bluegill spawn of the year. He's already had one in South Florida. Danny Mack says he'd like to be quarantined at my place. I like to be quarantined at my place. Hey, there's Lydia. Hi, Lydia. Good to see you. Glad you're on. Let's see here. Ron says, who are some of the pro fishermen, athletes, celebrities you built lakes for? Well, oh gosh, I don't like dropping names, but I will. Johnny Morris, Ray Scott, Bill Dance, Roger Staubach. I saw Ryan Newman on the Today Show. Ryan and I exchange texts often. Tony Stewart, NASCAR. Jay Bruce, Major League Baseball player. I don't know. I don't keep track of all that. They're all guys. Let's see. Danny Mack, including the one we got free. Yeah, that's true. Leanne says, Leanne's from Iowa. Close. Yeah, great. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you know what? Thanks for reminding me. She is in western Iowa. Let's see here. Frank James, thanks. You're welcome. Live Oaks decided to drop. Don't your Live Oaks drop anyway? Bob Lusk is awesome, says Matt Rail. Woohoo! Here we go. Scott Angelico, South Florida, how long should I be aerating the pond? You need to aerate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year-round, except when the temperature of your water gets above 83. Hey, listen to me. 83 degrees is the magic number. If your pond temperature gets above 83 degrees, that's distressing for your fish. So the way you mitigate that is only aerate at night. So here's the objective of aeration. Aeration's job, when you have a bottom diffused aeration system, it's not to add air to the water, contrary to popular belief. It's to move the water. So when you have bottom diffused aeration, there's these bubble plumes that cascade from the diffuser up through the water column and create circulation, kind of like a mushroom looks like. What happens is that allows the water to communicate, touch, feel, and exchange gases with the atmosphere. So when that's happening, water is cleansing itself and aerating itself from the atmosphere. So what you want to do is use your aeration system to create an autonomous layer of water from the aeration system to the top. Now, I don't like aerating the bottom of the lake. I'd like to leave 3 or 4 feet of water beneath the aeration system to maintain the integrity of a thermocline and a thermal refuge for fish. Now that's a little bit more than I can talk about right now. Oh, what the hell? I'm going to talk about it. The way nature works is coming up here in the spring pretty soon, as the days are getting longer, the sunlight heat penetrates the water and heats the water vertically. But that heat wants to argue a little bit and leave. So you wind up with what amounts to a layer cake. You have a warm layer of water sitting on top of a cold layer of water. The dividing line that defines those two is called the thermocline. So what happens over just a few weeks' time, that cold layer of water beneath the thermocline runs out of oxygen because the bacteria suck it all out. It can't replenish oxygen because it only gets oxygen from either photosynthesis from plants or from the atmosphere up here where we're breathing. So if that water can't touch the atmosphere or it can't communicate with photosynthesis from plants, oxygen gets depleted. So you have this warm, vibrant layer of water on top that where all the productivity is going on, sitting on top of a cold layer of water where it becomes anoxic, stagnant, and unhealthy. What the aeration system does is it allows that water to be moved upward vertically to mix it with the atmosphere for aeration. But one of the most important things about a thermocline is that fish do need a thermal refuge, especially when it gets hot. Fish are always seeking their best temperature, and it depends on the species what that temperature is. Striped bass, hybrid stripers, largemouth, bluegill, smallmouth, walleye. All those fish have different optimum temperatures. Most people want largemouth bass. Largemouth bass, the perfect temperature is water temperature between about 62 to 78. So when you've got aerated water that's 87, they don't like that. But if you have your diffusers about 3 or 4 feet off the bottom of the pond and you're aerating the top 15 feet, leaving the bottom 3 feet alone, they at least have that thermal refuge where they can go in and cool off a little bit, even though the oxygen levels may be low. As long as they've got enough oxygen to not suffocate, they'll pick that temperature, especially in the summertime, more so than any. All right, let's see here. Clark Cole says T.B. Pickens. T. Boone Pickens. Yeah, we lost him. Yeah, T. Boone Pickens was one of my customers. That's exactly right. For a while, he ended up hiring his own full-time biologist, which I got to help talk to, but not that much. There's a new one now. Boone Pickens was a really unique guy. I'll never forget when I met him, had him in my electrofishing boat. This had to be probably 1988 or 89. He had a ranch that straddled the border of Texas and Oklahoma on the Panhandle. And right on that ranch, he had about a 5-acre lake and an 8-acre lake. We shocked both those lakes, and I shocked up, listen to this, a 21-inch bass that weighed 9 pounds and 8 ounces, and a 22-inch bass that weighed 9 pounds and 6 ounces. Those fish were almost as deep-bodied as they were long, and thickest bass I've ever seen were on his place. Tim Stewart, what I don't get about coronavirus is stores are selling out of hand sanitizer and toilet paper. I get the hand sanitizer, but have people not been using toilet paper? Do they think wiping will keep them from getting the virus? You know what, Tim, I wish I had an answer for that, other than I guess people don't want to go to the Dollar General store when the coronavirus is spreading. Beats me. I mean, we raise... Oh, I'm not going to say that. I can't say anything about corn cobs. That don't make any sense. There's Barry Gann checking in. Okay, I think I'm caught up on the questions. Anybody got any more questions? Throw them at me. Let's see here. Whoop. Here's one. Let me see what's going on down here. Hold up. Got to go check out my other... Clark, go to his other church. Yeah, he's probably teaching a youth group. I know Clark Cole. Well, Clark, thanks for joining in, man. Go enjoy the other church and sing a worship song for the Pond Boss, buddy. I appreciate you checking in. That's good. So let's see, what else can we talk about? You're going to follow right behind them. Lost network connection. I don't know what that means. It says it's recording. Beats me. I don't know what's going on. I just saw some kind of a message there. But your yellow perch, if they haven't spawned yet, they're going to be spawning. Northern pike will spawn under the ice. Yellow perch will spawn. As a matter of fact, I've got an article in the January-February issue of Pond Boss, I think. Let me look. Might be this one. About different spawning habits of different fish. Let me look. Y'all bear with me a minute while I go silent for a second. Let's see here. No. Hey, you know what? No, it's this year. The March-April issue of Pond Boss magazine. I've talked about the different species of fish that are spawning. Let me see here. Let me look at this fish for a second, and I'll share a little bit of this with you. $35 a year, folks. Pond Boss. Subscribe. Go to pondboss.com. Some of your resources out there are pondboss.com. Ask the Boss. I'm looking through the magazine right quick. It just showed up. It's really funny because I produce this thing and I write a bunch of it, but I never remember what I wrote. I can remember the pond of yours that I looked at. Okay, so here's what we got here. There's some of the fish that we're talking about that are spawning this time of year. So we got, I've got some details about northern pike, white crappie, black crappie, walleye, smallmouth, yellow perch, crappie, black crappie, white crappie, pumpkin seeds, largemouth bass, bullheads, bluegills. I don't know if I said channel cat or not. But this article kind of takes you through the sequence of fish. Now, one of the things I love about God, there's so many things I love about God, but one of my favorite things is that there's order to all this. Different fish spawn at different temperatures, and those temperatures help keep the species specific and prevent hybridization. So that's pretty cool. What amount of water fluctuation through the year is necessary to feel comfortable stocking golden shiners? There's Chad Gillespie checking in from Northeast Mississippi. Let's see here. Roger B. Peterson lost audio. I don't know what's going on. I just saw that we got disconnected for a minute and it was recording. I don't know what happens with that. I don't know if it's a Facebook thing or a connectivity thing. I don't know. Okay, so let me see here. So Tim says, okay, my philosophy is stocking golden shiners. I see golden shiners as often can be a value-added forage fish in ponds and lakes where bluegill can't keep the pace. And that's typically ponds that fluctuate up and down. So if you lose 4 feet of water through the course of a year, then it fills back up, golden shiners could be a good additional forage fish. I'm going to tell you 4 feet of water fluctuation would probably be the number I would look at before I thought about putting golden shiners in there. Scott says, Scott Angelico, kids have been catching big boy gill in my pond on bread. Is that bad for the? No, it's not bad for the pond. If they're catching bluegill on bread, that's great. Nothing wrong with that. Now, if you were just only feeding them bread, I'd say feeding fish bread is like you and me eating donuts. We like them. They taste good. Fish that probably don't get heartburn, although I've never asked one. But it's carbohydrates. And most of the fish that you're fishing for are not vegetarians or vegans. They're meat eaters. Let's see here. There's Eli Bridges. Second cousin. Good to see you, buddy. I hope I get to see you at our family reunion at Lusk Lodge, 2 coming up. So let's see here. Ron says, how many pounds of crawfish per acre can you feed bass? All they will eat. I know. You're going to throw some boudin at me here in a minute. I'll tell you this. A pond that's managed naturally is going to support about 50 pounds of bass per acre. Now, if you're feeding the fish and maintaining fertility, your pond's going to support probably 75 pounds of bass per acre. If you've got feed-trained bass, it goes up from that. Now, feeding crawfish, and of course, you're in South Louisiana, you can buy them for cheap, especially when the basin comes in. The Chefalot basin comes in, wild crawfish start hitting the market, you can buy those things for 60 to 90 cents a pound. You know, so for $6 to grow a pound of bass, that's pretty efficient. You know, for a lot of guys to go spend $500 or $600 on crawfish to give them a nudge. So let me see here. Let me go back and look at this a minute. How many pounds of crawfish per acre? I'll tell you what's more important about feeding crawfish to bass is don't do them all at once. Don't go put 1,000 pounds of crawfish per acre and expect much other than the crawfish are going to feel a little crowded and they're going to leave. I mean, I got a customer we tried that on years ago, and he called me up and says, hey, Bob, we're running over crawfish in the driveway in Texas. He said, you think we overdid it? Yeah, we probably did. But if we just stocked 1,000 pounds of crawfish over about 4 months of the season, that would have been smarter. However, how much is enough? I'm going to tell you, if you feed 100 to 200 pounds of crawfish per acre spread out over time, that will influence growth rates of bass. Now remember, they gain at a rate of 10 to 1. 10 pounds of bait fish, and crawfish are going to fit right in that. Maybe they're not quite as efficient on crawfish as they are anything else, but I'll tell you what crawfish will do. They will put some pounds on your bass, but they're also going to increase your catchability rates. Because you can throw if you're fishing a pond and you're fishing it heavy and the pressure's heavy, they're going to get lure-wise. But if you're adding crawfish about once a month for 4 months, your catch rates are going to go up. So you're going to not only grow some fish, but you're going to be able to catch them just a little bit easier. Holy cow, we're going to run out of time. Can a bass have too much to eat? No, he can't. If he has too much to eat, good luck, because you're going to have the fattest bass. They're going to look like what Ray Scott over in Alabama says, looks like an Alabama deputy sheriff. And if you got bass that look like that, you're in good shape. So you cannot overfeed bass. Now, here's the caveat to that answer. If the bass have all they can eat, what are the odds of you catching one because it's hungry? 0. But you can also create a reaction strike. Feed them in spurts. If you feed them in spurts, they're going to bite in spurts. I made that up. I hope it's right. Danny Mack says, Dollar General is nothing but cool. $8 to make a beautiful framed $100 bill with the title of I Bet Trump Couldn't Win. My friend, that's pretty funny right there. Let's see, will the bread hurt the fish because we catch? No, it's not going to hurt the fish any more than a donut's going to hurt you. But that's what it is. It's going to be carbohydrates. Dick Tabbert, can we get scuds for pond stocking in Northwest Ohio? You know what? Get in touch with Bill Cody. Go to pondboss.com, click on Ask the Boss, find Bill Cody on there and ask him. Scuds, I think you can get scuds, spelled S-C-U-D, by the way, for stocking. Scuds are like little bitty shrimp that are fantastic forage fish, especially for bluegills, pumpkin seeds, and for small bass, smallmouth bass. They're good, and they're a good natural food in that part of the planet. Danny Mac, my wife Meg, coming home from the store one day, exclaimed a lobster was crawling down the road. We could not find it. Okay. Somebody fed crawfish to their bass. One more piece of chocolate to go with that. 14 hands. Something about red wine really makes that chocolate pop. Leanne, thanks for letting me steal one of your fundraiser bars. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, folks. 7:26. Gonna be wrapping it up here. If you've got any more questions, throw them at me really, really fast. Because one of the grandkids is at my house, little James. And he loves it for Papa to come in to Memes' bed and Papa's bed. He lays down on his back with his feet toward me. I grab his little legs. He's about 4. Flip his little butt upside down. He lands on his belly and he giggles. And he says, "Do it again, Papa." So we're fixing to go. He says, "Flip me like a pancake, Papa." So I'm fixing to go flip a grandkid until he goes to sleep. Jacob West, I hope you paid her for that fun. No, I didn't. I found it. I stole it. It was laying in a box. I thought it was fair game, so I snagged it. But something tells me that I'll be paying for it one way or another. All right, folks. 7:27. I want to once again thank Texas Hunter Feeders. Go to Texas Hunter Products. And if you need advice on which feeders to use, let me know. I'll help you with that. For sponsoring this show. Thanks to Pure and Mills for sponsoring the show. Glad that Matt Marsden checked in tonight. Glad to see him. And gosh, if you have questions, email me. Oh, the Bob Lusk Institute of Higher Pondology is coming up April 2, 3, and 4. We've got room for a few more people. So if you want to come to that, let me know. I've got a great weekend lined up. You get to hang out with my wife. That's pretty cool in itself. And you're going to make new best friends. Coronavirus or no coronavirus, we're going to do it. So if you guys want to come, let me know. Send me an email to boblusk@outlook.com and let's have a conversation. I'll tell you all about it. I'll send you the propaganda, the registration, the brochure, any of that so you can see it. And I do, it's important, I think, to share my 40 years worth of knowledge and experience with you to help you be a better steward of your land and water. Pond Boss Magazine, $35 a year. I don't know what else to say. $35 a year. This is what fuels the economy with our advertisers and our subscribers to make things like this show happen. And I appreciate all our advertisers and all our subscribers. We just need more people in the family. It is a family. I love everybody. So you know what? 7:29. I'm going to wrap it up. I didn't see Jason Nepstead tonight. Jason, sending all my love, buddy. I don't know where you are, but we miss you. So you guys, if you have questions, drop them to me. boblusk@outlook.com or info@pondboss.com. And I appreciate you hanging out. So we'll see you next Wednesday, probably from right here. We'll be enjoying the final part of the red bud blooms. Fish are spawning. Temperatures are going up. Springtime is knocking on the door. And I turn 65 later this month. Adios. See you.